Our story begins with our protagonist, Rintaro Tsuda, a high school boy who is deeply in love with his classmate, Yuma Kanzaki. This has been the case ever since Rintaro met Yuma in kindergarten, as he has tried to confess his feelings to her several times without success. Rintaro decides to confess to Yumi for the fourth and final time. Ironically for him, Yui shares his feelings and doesn't hesitate to let him know that she wants to go out with him. This makes Rintaro emotional, and he begins to cry as he has finally achieved his goal of dating the girl he likes. Yumi tries to comfort him, and as she approaches Rintaro, he is startled to see a gigantic number 100 floating in front of Yumi. This number is something only Rintaro understands. He explains to us that ever since he was a child, he developed a strange ability that allows him to see the life expectancy of living beings. Rintaro tells us that this ability has the particularity of always starting at the number 100, and when it reaches 0, the living being dies. A day passes, and Rintaro becomes alarmed when he sees that Yuma's life expectancy has dropped from 100 days to 99. Because of this, he decides to take her to the hospital for a medical checkup. The next day, Yumi hands Rintaro her medical results and tells him that she is perfectly healthy. Upon hearing this, Rintaro feels relieved that Yumi is in perfect health, but he still gives her an herbal tea to further improve her well-being. Yui tastes the tea and dislikes it, so she decides to eat a sandwich to get rid of the bad taste. After this, Yui tells her friend, Maika Toshiro, that she is dating Rintaro. Maika is happy for Yumi and tells her that Rintaro is very lucky to be with her and hopes they have a lot of fun as a couple. However, Yumi is not so sure about this, as she tells Maika that Rintaro has been acting strangely since they started dating, which makes her worry about their relationship. This conversation is overheard by another classmate, Minori Fuji, who looks at Yumi with malice and plans something to get in her way. On a new day, Rintaro and Yumi walk home together, and along the way, a man accidentally drops his transport cart. The cart heads toward Yumi, so Rintaro pushes her out of the way. As a result, the cart changes its course and now heads toward a defenseless cat. Rintaro saves the cat but ends up hitting his head in the process. After everything, Rintaro asks Yumi if she is okay, to which she replies that she is. Rintaro is relieved and tells Yumi that he is glad nothing happened to her, showing deep concern for her. Yumi realizes that Rintaro is being overly protective, so she asks him to confess the reason for his behavior. He tells her that the reason he is being overprotective is that he can see that her life expectancy is only 96 days. Upon hearing this, Yui cannot help but feel fear and despair, but she lets Rintaro know that she will do whatever it takes to keep living despite her low life expectancy. Rintaro supports Yuma and tells her that he will help her get through this situation together. Suddenly, Rintaro sees that Yuma's life expectancy increases from 96 to 97 days. Rintaro is overjoyed and tells Yumi about it. After this, he tells her that he will try to find a way to further increase her life expectancy. The next day, Rintaro puts Yumi to the test in an attempt to figure out how to increase her life expectancy. However, despite trying everything, he fails to find an answer. Rintaro opens up to Yumi and begins to cry in front of her, explaining that he doesn't want to lose her. Yumi is touched and lets him know that she doesn't want to lose him either, so she will try to become stronger to get through the situation. The closeness between Rintaro and Yumi was the key to increasing Yumi's life expectancy. When he tells her this, Yumi gets nervous and starts blushing. This only causes her life expectancy to increase even more, leading Rintaro to realize that Yumi's life expectancy rises whenever she experiences the sensation of love. Knowing this, Rintaro tells Yumi that he will make sure to make her feel butterflies in her stomach every day so that her life expectancy increases and remains stable. Yumi thanks Rintaro for this gesture and hopes he does a good job. After this, they say goodbye, and at that moment, a strange boy bumps into Rintaro. This boy's name is Itsuhi Onodera, and although we don't know anything about him yet, he seems to know about Rintaro as he exclaims that he is aware that Yuma's life depends entirely on Rintaro. On a new day, Rintaro explains that he discovered his ability to see the life expectancy of living beings when he visited his grandmother as a child. Rintaro was able to see the life expectancy of his grandmother's pet fish, and when he mentioned it to her, she explained that he might have inherited this ability from his late grandfather, who could also see the life expectancy of living beings. When his grandmother's goldfish passed away, Rintaro couldn't help but feel sad. To make matters worse, on the same day the goldfish died, Rintaro saw his grandmother's life expectancy. She ended up passing away after 100 days, leaving Rintaro mourning her loss. In the present, Rintaro has discovered that he can increase the life expectancy of living beings thanks to Yumi. Ironically, when he meets with her, he realizes that her life expectancy has dropped to 88. This puts him on high alert, so he tries to think of a way to make her feel butterflies in her stomach. The day before, Rintaro had been researching ways to make girls blush and feel butterflies, so now he decides to put what he learned to the test. Rintaro starts by whispering sweet things into Yumi's ear, but the only thing he achieves is making her do the same to him, and in the end, he is the one who ends up blushing. Later, Rintaro tries showing his veins to Yumi, but she feels nothing, thinking that Rintaro is just acting weird. As a last resort, Rintaro tries being a bad boy, so he steals Mika's food and shows Yumi that he is a rebel. This only results in Mika punching him for taking her food. After this, Rintaro chases after Yuma and tries to get close to her to make her feel butterflies, but it doesn't work. Mika notices that Rintaro is trying too hard to make Yumi feel butterflies, so she advises him not to overdo it. Suddenly, they both witness the arrival of Itsuki at school. Itsuki is naturally handsome, and combined with his pleasant and mysterious personality, he easily captivates many girls. Seeing the impressive scene of Itsuki charming a girl, Mika advises Rintaro to try to be more like him. Itsuki introduces himself to Rintaro's class as an exchange student, and after taking his seat, he smiles at Rintaro. Later, Itsuki asks Rintaro for help with a wound. Rintaro takes him to the infirmary and treats his injury, and in return, Itsuki thanks Rintaro for the favor. To return the favor, Itsuki tells Rintaro that he owes him one. Without hesitation, Rintaro asks him to be his mentor in the disciplinary field of how to make a girl fall in love. Itsuki is surprised by Rintaro's request, but agrees to be his mentor since he owes him a favor anyway. Throughout the day, Itsuki complimented and helped several girls with their tasks. While he was doing this, Rintaro took notes on every little detail to achieve what Itsuki effortlessly accomplished with the girls. After all this, Itsuki opens up to Rintaro and tells him that it's not necessary to take notes to imitate him, as he believes the best way to make a girl fall in love and feel butterflies is by being yourself. Rintaro reflects on these words, but since he is insecure, he decides to act based on what he learned from Itsuki. This only results in Yumi becoming distant from him as he acted too indifferently while trying to imitate Itsuki. To make things worse, Rintaro ends up fainting due to lack of sleep from the previous night. As a result, Rintaro does not attend school the next day. Yumi looks for him everywhere but cannot find him. Because of this, she asks Minori if she knows anything about Rintaro. Minori replies that she doesn't, and then begins to play mind games with Yumi, telling her that Rintaro probably didn't come to school because he doesn't want to see her. Hearing this, Yumi unexpectedly visits Rintaro to prove to herself that he doesn't hate her, contrary to what Minori suggested. Rintaro is surprised by Yumi's visit, as it ironically reminds him of the first time he met her. This happened when he was a child. After losing his mother, Rintaro locked himself in his room and didn't want to come out, as he believed the world was cruel and life had no value. A young Yumi appeared in his life to become a part of it and show him that life is beautiful, and that every living being has a reason to live. After this flashback, Rintaro apologizes to Yumi for treating her indifferently the day before and tells her that he will try not to behave that way again. Rintaro decides to be himself, starting by romantically holding Yumi's hand, as that is something he has always wanted to do since he was a child. Miraculously, Yumi's life expectancy increases thanks to Rintaro's gesture. A couple of days later, Yumi maintains a stable life expectancy, and in response, Rintaro tells her that he will continue to show her more affection each day to help increase her life expectancy. Yumi asks Rintaro to hold her hand like before, but Rintaro refuses, saying he feels uncomfortable holding hands at school. Minori notices this, which makes her think that Rintaro and Yumi's relationship is not at its best. Because of this, she later tells Yumi that she will try to take Rintaro away from her, as she has feelings for him. The next day, Yumi tells Mika what happened. She warns her to take care of Rintaro since Minori is a promiscuous girl who always goes after other girls' boyfriends. Yumi doesn't believe Minori is that kind of girl, as she doesn't know her well enough yet. Ironically, later that day, Yumi finds Minori with Rintaro as he is helping her with math. Yumi leaves them alone, but unfortunately for her, this situation keeps repeating over the following days, with Minori becoming a third wheel in Yumi and Rintaro's relationship. When Mika notices this, she talks to Rintaro in private and tells him to stay away from Minori, as he is only pushing Yumi further away. Meanwhile, Yumi talks to Minori to try and understand why she keeps following Rintaro so much. Minori explains that she wants Rintaro all to herself because she wants to kiss and hug him. Minori then asks Yumi if she sees Rintaro in a romantic way. Yumi is left speechless, as while she cares for Rintaro, she has never thought about wanting to kiss or hug him like Minori does. Rintaro, on the other hand, also thinks about this while talking to Itsuki. The latter advises him to plan the perfect scenario to kiss Yumi, as he believes this will make her experience butterflies in her stomach. Trusting Itsuki's advice, Rintaro invites Yumi on a date to the aquarium. Minori joins the conversation and asks Rintaro if she can go with them. Surprisingly, Yumi agrees to let Minori join the date. When the three of them meet at the aquarium, Minori stays close to Rintaro, pushing Yumi aside as much as possible. Rintaro notices this and asks Minori to leave him alone with Yumi. However, Yumi misunderstands and thinks Rintaro actually wants to be alone with Minori, so she decides to leave, giving them space. After Yumi leaves, Minori opens up to Rintaro and asks him to stop trying so hard for Yumi, confessing that she is not romantically interested in him. Minori ends the conversation by telling him that he should focus his attention on someone who is truly interested in him, subtly referring to herself. Rintaro is surprised, but since he doesn't feel the same way about Minori, he decides to ignore her and go after Yumi. He finds her watching the dolphin show. As the three of them watch the dolphins with excitement, Rintaro realizes that Yumi's life expectancy is now at 66 days. Saddened by this, he starts thinking about what his life will be like without Yumi. Meanwhile, Yumi is only thinking about how she wants to become a dolphin trainer in the future, as she dreams of training and playing with them. Rintaro realizes that Yumi is unaware she only has 66 days left to live, which drives him crazy, leading him to leave the aquarium. Yumi and Minori search for him everywhere but cannot find him. At that moment, Yumi opens up to Minori and admits that she still doesn't know if she has romantic feelings for Rintaro. However, what she does know is that she cares about him deeply and doesn't want to share him with anyone, especially not with Minori. Minori doesn't hesitate to hit Yumi with a low blow, telling her that she cannot truly care for Rintaro but she isn't even sure if she loves him romantically. Yumi feels hurt for not knowing her true feelings for Rintaro, and just before she starts crying, a boy dressed as a dolphin comforts her. Minori pushes the boy aside, causing him to fall to the ground and struggle to get up due to the heavy dolphin costume. Minori then removes the dolphin head and discovers that Rintaro was the one underneath the costume. The reason Rintaro dressed as a dolphin was to show Yumi that he is willing to support her and help her achieve her dream of becoming a dolphin trainer because he loves her with all his heart. Minori can't help but be moved by Rintaro's gesture, and for the first time she decides to leave them alone. This was a difficult decision for Minori, as she remembers that during her darkest times, Rintaro was the only boy who comforted her and made her feel special. She still keeps the handkerchief he gave her to wipe her tears, and she vows to cherish it for the rest of her life. Rintaro and Yumi head home, and on the way, Yumi confesses to Rintaro that she loves him in every sense. Rintaro is touched and cannot help but shed a few tears. After this, he tells her that he also loves her and will do everything in his power to increase her life expectancy. Yumi then asks Rintaro how many days she has left to live, to which he responds that she has 68 days remaining. Hearing this, Rintaro tells Yumi to stay still because he is about to help her increase her life expectancy. Rintaro kisses Yumi, and thanks to this, her life expectancy increases from 68 to 75 days. The downside is that Yumi was so overwhelmed by the kiss that she quickly said goodbye and left, as she was experiencing too many butterflies in her stomach. After the kiss, Yumi cannot look Rintaro in the eyes, so she runs away from him whenever she sees him. Midori finds Yumi in the hallway and, noticing how nervous she is, asks if something happened with Rintaro during their date at the aquarium. Yumi is forced to admit that Rintaro kissed her. As a result, Yumi feels so embarrassed that she can no longer look at Rintaro without remembering that kiss. Midori advises Yumi not to focus on the negative side of things, saying that if she feels embarrassed, it's because she truly loves Rintaro, and that's a good thing. Grateful for Midori's advice, Yumi asks to be her friend. Midori tells her that it's not a good idea, reminding her that she has a reputation for being a promiscuous and bad girl. Yumi points out that Midori is not what the rumors say, as she has been giving her advice like a good friend would. Hearing this, Midori acknowledges her point and agrees to be her friend. Later, Yumi apologizes to Rintaro for avoiding him all day and tells him she is willing to experience more romantic moments with him. Rintaro asks if she wants him to kiss her, to which Yumi responds no, since they are at school. Instead, Rintaro kisses Yumi's hand, causing her to become nervous and blush, which in turn increases her life expectancy. A month later, Yumi's life expectancy has decreased to 50 days. Alarmed by this, Rintaro tells Yumi that he will do his best to make her feel butterflies in her stomach whenever he can. Putting that aside, they both notice Itsuki running hurriedly to the classroom. Later, Rintaro asks him why, and Itsuki simply says that he ran because he had a stomachache. When Rintaro tells Yumi about this, she believes him. and for her, the matter ends there. However, she suddenly realizes she forgot something at school and decides to go back. Meanwhile, Rintaro is approached by a girl who asks to speak with him privately. This girl introduces herself as Chiaki Sato and reveals that she is interested in Itsuki. Chiaki tells Rintaro that she admires Itsuki a lot, but despite this admiration, she is not interested in dating him, as she is a very shy girl who believes she will be rejected by him. Because of this, Chiaki asks Rintaro to help her get closer to Itsuki, and without hesitation, Rintaro agrees to help. Back at school, Yui sees Itsuki acting suspiciously. He gets nervous upon Yumi's sudden arrival and accidentally drops several photos of himself. Because of this, Itsuki is forced to tell the truth about these photos. It turns out they were taken by Chiaki, who is so obsessed with him that she not only left multiple photos of him in his locker, but also sent him letters confessing her feelings. Itsuki no longer knows how to deal with Chiaki, so he asks Yumi for help. Yumi fully supports him and promises to help in any way she can. She also tells Itsuki that he can count on Rintaro's help. Ironically, Rintaro is not much help at all, as when he arrives, he brings Chiaki with him. Chiaki tries to confess her feelings to Itsuki, but since he doesn't feel the same way, he asks her to stop stalking him. Chiaki refuses to see that she's going too far with her obsession and insists that everything she does is because she loves him. Rintaro supports Chiaki, telling Itsuki to at least consider her feelings. Itsuki cannot believe that Rintaro is taking Chiaki's side, so he has no choice but to be harsh with her to push her away. Chiaki is hurt by Itsuki's harsh words and leaves in tears. Rintaro tries to go after her, but Itsuki stops him, telling him that love can sometimes be dangerous and advising him to focus on what truly matters. Rintaro is left deep in thought but still decides to chase after Chiaki to comfort her. After this, Itsuki approaches Yumi to confess something extremely important, which will be revealed later. The next day, Itsuki avoids Rintaro at all costs. Rintaro tells Yumi about this and asks for her help. Just then, their English teacher spots them, so they decide to hide in the library. While there, Yui tells Rintaro that he is a good person who always tries to help others in any way he can, so it's only a matter of time before he finds a way to reconcile with Itsuki. Feeling reassured, Rintaro puts the issue with Itsuki aside and tries to get closer to Yumi to increase her life expectancy. He is about to do something bold, but suddenly, the English teacher interrupts them. She takes Yumi away because she has to take her English exam. Before leaving, Yumi waves goodbye to Rintaro. He is surprised to see that Yumi's life expectancy did not increase after he approached her with ulterior motives, leaving him deep in thought. Meanwhile, Yumi overthinks her conversation with Itsuki. During their talk, Itsuki revealed to Yumi that he can see the future and told her that in the near future, she will lose her life because of Rintaro, leaving her troubled by his words. When Rintaro returns to the school in search of his notebook, he can't find it anywhere. Minori appears to hand it to him, and since she saw its contents, she asks if he can see the life expectancy of living beings. Rintaro replies that he can, but it's none of her business. Minori saw that Yumi has only a few days left to live, so now more than ever, she tells Rintaro that she wants to help him increase Yumi's life expectancy. Rintaro refuses her help, telling her she shouldn't meddle in something that doesn't concern her. Minori gets upset and tells Rintaro that she will do everything possible to help Yumi because, after all, she is her friend. Throughout the day, Minori takes advantage of her friendship with Yumi to keep her away from Rintaro as much as possible. Seeing Minori distancing Yumi from him, Rintaro can't help but feel frustrated and angry, as he considers that, in some way, Yumi is being unfaithful to him with Minori. Rintaro's mother warns him that Yumi hasn't come home. Suddenly, Rintaro receives a text message from Yumi, asking him to meet at the school at 8 p.m. When Rintaro arrives, he finds none other than Minori, who is also summoned by Yumi. Yumi then sends them another message, instructing them to find a black backpack at the school's entrance. Minori finds the backpack, and upon checking its contents, she discovers a sign with instructions for a treasure hunt game organized by Yumi. Minori gets excited, as she loves these types of games. Rintaro, on the other hand, remains serious as all he wants to know is why Yumi called him and Minori to the school at this hour. When Rintaro and Minori start the treasure hunt, it is Minori who manages to solve all the riddles, completely humiliating Rintaro. Minori doesn't hesitate to tell Rintaro that if it weren't for her, he would be lost in the school without knowing how to solve Yumi's puzzles. These words annoy Rintaro, so he walks away from Minori as much as he can. Rintaro arrives at the library, where he finds a note with another riddle. He tries to solve it but realizes he's not as smart as Minori, which frustrates him. Minori finds him, and upon seeing him crying, she tells him that she will help with the treasure hunt because she wants to see how much he is willing to fight for Yumi. Rintaro and Minori continue with the treasure hunt, while elsewhere, Yumi is on the rooftop talking with Itsuki. Itsuki tells Yumi that his ability to see the future of people manifests in small fragments where he can see how they'll die. Because of this, he informs Yumi that he has seen Rintaro's future, but what's curious about it is that he has seen more than one possible future for him. Hearing this, Yui starts to believe that she can change her future, so she tells Itsuki that she will do her best to do so. Itsuki is happy about Yumi's positive attitude but advises her to stay away from Rintaro because if she stays with him, her future will not change. However, Yumi refuses to leave Rintaro, saying she loves him too much and will fight to have a future with him. Meanwhile, Rintaro and Minori manage to solve the final riddle of the treasure hunt and finally find Yumi on the rooftop. Once there, Rintaro asks Yumi why she made him and Minori come all the way here. Yumi reveals that she planned the treasure hunt so that he and Minori could get along, making the true treasure of the game their sincerity with each other. Yumi asks Rintaro if he and Minori managed to get along, to which Rintaro responds that they did. After this, Rintaro and Yumi head home, and on the way, Yumi hugs Rintaro from behind. Feeling emotional, Rintaro turns around and embraces her. He then opens up to her, confessing that he likes her a lot and will do everything he can to have a future with her because he doesn't want to see her leave this world. Touched by his words, Yui's life expectancy increases by one more day. The next day, Rintaro talks to Itsuki about Yumi, and afterward, he asks Yumi to distance herself from him. Yui doesn't understand the reason behind this, so she asks Rintaro if he spoke with Itsuki. Rintaro replies that he did and lets her know that he doesn't want to see her leave this world because of him, which is why he needs to distance himself from her. Now understanding the situation, Yumi is willing to do whatever Rintaro says. Rintaro proposes that they stop seeing and talking to each other, but despite that, he reassures her that they are still a couple. Yuma can't help but feel sad, and to seal their promise, she makes a pinky swear with Rintaro. He takes her pinky, and although both are determined to stay apart as a result of a chain of events, they can't help but feel awful about it. Seeing Rintaro's sadness, Minori offers him her company and support, advising him to find out the future cause of Yumi's death. Meanwhile, Yumi is intercepted by Chiaki, who speaks with her about something important. Later, Yumi tells Minori that she had a conversation with Chiaki, and finding her to be a good person, decided to give her her contact information. Minori worries about Yumi as she tends to trust people too quickly, which would put her in danger. Because of this, Minori tells her to let her know if things ever get complicated. Though the words come from Minori, they are actually Rintaro's as he cannot approach Yumi himself. Yumi understands the message and tells Minori to inform Rintaro that everything is fine and that she will let him know if anything goes wrong. As the days pass, Rintaro and Yumi remain distant, and despite wanting to see each other, they know they can't because of their promise. Because of this, Minori confronts Itsuki, reprimanding him for putting ideas into Rintaro's head. Itsuki defends himself, stating that everything he told Rintaro was true and that he did it for his own good. Minori becomes suspicious of Itsuki's intentions and asks him if everything he said was truly for Rintaro's sake or if there was another reason. This question makes Itsuki think, and he starts remembering his past. Suddenly, he and Minori spot Yumi with Chiaki, so they decide to follow them. The four of them end up at a cafe, where Chiaki reveals to Yumi that she will be moving to another city. The reason she invited her there was to ask her to warn Itsuki about this. Afterward, Chiaki opens up to Yumi, admitting that she feels bad about herself because she considers herself a terrible person for being obsessed with someone who doesn't even notice her. Chiaki believes she is not worthy of experiencing love, but Yumi tells her that everyone is deserving of love. Chiaki smiles, unable to believe that Yumi is such an optimistic girl. Thanks to Yui's positive energy, Chiaki thanks her for the conversation and, before leaving, reminds her that she will be moving next Friday at 4:30 p.m. Yui tells her she will be there when it happens, surprising Chiaki. On Friday, Rintaro watches Yumi from a distance as he cannot approach her due to their promise. Yumi notices Rintaro looking at her and can't help but feel terrible knowing she can't go to him. Overcome with emotion, she decides to break their promise and visits Rintaro at his house. There, Yumi opens up to him, confessing that she has a bad feeling about her future, as she believes that no matter what she does, she will eventually lose her life. Yuma can't hold back her tears, and as she cries, apologizes to Rintaro for causing him so much trouble ever since they became a couple. Unable to contain her emotions, Rintaro comforts her, telling her that he will stay by her side no matter what, doing everything he can to prevent her death because he believes there are infinite possibilities to save her, especially now that they have the help of Minori and Itsuki. In this way, Rintaro and Uni break their promise forever and commit to staying together until death do them part. Later, Rintaro asks for Itsuki's help, but the latter tells him there isn't much he can do, as he once tried to change the future of someone close to him without success. Setting that aside, Itsuki asks Rintaro where Yumi is, as he needs to talk to her to try to help both of them. Rintaro replies that Yumi is with Chiaki. This alarms Itsuki, who warns Rintaro that Chiaki is not someone to be trusted, reminding him that she used to stalk him. For the first time, Rintaro feels uneasy about Chiaki. Though he had trusted her, he now has a bad feeling about her. Meanwhile, Yumi accompanies Chiaki to the train station. On the way, Chiaki opens up to Yumi, saying she can't believe how kind she is to her. Chiaki envies people like Yumi, believing that good and pretty girls like her deserve the worst so they can learn what real life is like. At that moment, Rintaro arrives and witnesses Yumi's life expectancy drop to 0 in an instant. He then sees Chiaki push Yumi down the stairs, causing him to scream her name with all his might. Before learning what happened to Yumi, we are shown a brief flashback of Chiaki. She was always a kind girl who helped her classmates with the school's chores. One day, she met Itsuki, who was the only one willing to assist her with the tasks. This was their first interaction, and from that moment on, Chiaki developed a platonic love for Itsuki. She didn't want to date him, she just wanted to admire him from a distance because she considered herself unattractive and uninteresting to him. That's why Chiaki sent letters to Itsuki confessing her love, hoping that one day he would notice her existence. Since that never happened, Chiaki decided to stalk Itsuki from afar, which eventually drove him away from her. The last time she saw him face to face, he cruelly rejected her. Because of this experience, Chiaki developed hatred toward kind people who managed to find love like Yumi. After pushing Yumi down the stairs, Rintaro rushed to her and managed to save her, although he ended up getting injured himself. Following this, Minori appears and intercepts Chiaki. Luckily for Minori, a nearby officer witnesses the scene. The officer takes Chiaki away, and Minori accompanies her. Itsuki wants to go with them, but Minori refuses, believing that his presence could destabilize Chiaki. Later, we learn that Rintaro's injury is a minor sprain, requiring him to wear a cast for a few days. Yumi feels bad seeing him like that and apologizes for involving him in her problems. Rintaro reassures her that she doesn't need to apologize, as he acts the way he does to protect her from everything and everyone. Yumi is touched by his words and promises that from now on, she will try not to drag him into any more trouble. After a few days, Rintaro fully recovers. Itsuki apologizes for getting him involved with Chiaki and then tells him he has something important to share. He recounts a story from his past. When Itsuki was a child, he met a girl named Hikari, who quickly became his friend. Hikari lived in a hospital because she had an illness she didn't want anyone to know about, especially not Itsuki. Intrigued, Itsuki sneaked into her room while she was asleep to discover the truth. He managed to see Hikari's future, in which she lost her life after a failed surgery. When he told Hikari about this, she was shocked. After that, Itsuki never saw Hikari again and never found out what happened to her, as he feared that revealing her future might have altered it. After telling this story, Itsuki asks Rintaro if he believes the future can be changed. Rintaro cannot answer with certainty, but what he does know is that Yumi will survive and overcome her cruel fate. He doesn't believe in destiny or supernatural beings, he only believes in Yumi. Since she said the future can be changed, he chooses to believe in her words. Itsuki is moved by Rintaro's conviction and immediately offers his help in any way possible, as he wants to ensure that Yumi can change her destiny. Rintaro thanks him, and Minori also joins the effort to help Yumi. The four of them then gather to devise the perfect plan. They discuss different ways to change Yumi's future, but without finding a clear solution, Yumi herself suggests that the best thing she can do is train so she can defend herself from people who might want to harm her, as well as from wild animals or heavy objects. Rintaro realizes that Yumi isn't taking the situation seriously and asks why she is avoiding the subject. Yumi responds that she doesn't want others to go to great lengths to help her because she believes she should be the one to save herself. Rintaro is frustrated by Yumi's stubbornness and asks why she won't let him or their friends help her. Yumi explains that she doesn't want any of her loved ones to get hurt while trying to protect her, as that would be even worse for her than her cruel fate. She then tells Rintaro to try putting himself in her shoes. With that, she walks away, leaving Rintaro deep in thought about her last words. Just then, the cat we met earlier appears and approaches Rintaro. He pets the cat and wonders how he can change Yumi's mindset. Suddenly, the cat speaks to him telepathically, and in disbelief, Rintaro faints. When he wakes up, he is shocked to see a young Yumi standing before him. Rintaro doesn't understand what's happening. He doesn't know if he's dreaming or if he has traveled to the past. However, he doesn't dwell on it for too long. He just wants to know why Yuma always thinks of others before herself. The young Yumi reveals to Rintaro that she lost her father because she didn't listen to him, and as a result, she became a girl who prioritizes others' well-being over her own. Rintaro can't help but feel moved after learning this, so he promises the young Yumi that he will take care of her in the future. When Rintaro regains consciousness, he looks for Yumi, and to his surprise, she is at the same beach where he found the young Yumi. Rintaro approaches her, and upon noticing that she is cold, he lends her his scarf. Yumi thanks him, and overwhelmed by his kindness, she bursts into tears. She still hasn't fully accepted being helped by others, so she tells Rintaro that she wants to overcome her fear of looking people in the eyes and asking for help without feeling ashamed. Rintaro doesn't hesitate to offer his support, assuring her that he will help her conquer her fears because he wants to be there for her in good times, bad times, and the worst times. Yumi feels so relieved by Rintaro's words that she immediately hugs him and cries on his shoulder. On a new day, Rintaro sees that Yumi has only 5 days left to live. Alarmed, he asks his friends for help. Minori and Itsuki come to an agreement. From now on, the 4 of them will go home together to prevent Yumi from wandering off and suffering an accident. Ironically, as they leave school, Rintaro notices that Yumi's remaining lifespan has dropped from 5 days to 4. He immediately embraces her tightly, and by doing so, he manages to prevent a flower pot from falling on her head. After this, throughout the entire day, Yu and his friends try to prevent her from making any mistakes that could put her life at risk. During this, Itsuki remembers a conversation he had with Rintaro in which the latter, through tears, begged him to save Yumi in any way he could since he himself couldn't do it. Recalling this, Itsuki sees Yumi approaching Rintaro to help him rescue a cat. He yells at Yumi to stop. She obeys, and by doing so, she avoids being hit by a sudden truck. Afterward, Rintaro asks Yumi if she is okay, to which she replies that she is. Rintaro checks Yumi's lifespan, and to his surprise, the countdown of her remaining days disappears. When Rintaro tells Yumi about this, she becomes so excited that she doesn't hesitate to hug him. Rintaro can't help but cry. Now, he will finally have a future with Yumi. Meanwhile, Itsuki feels that something is wrong. He finds it odd that Rintaro can no longer see Yumi's lifespan. Itsuki begins to see Rintaro's future and realizes that something bad is about to happen. He sees that a steel frame is about to fall on Rintaro, so he shouts to warn him. Rintaro hears him, but it's already too late. The steel frame falls on him. Rintaro wakes up in a strange place, where he is greeted by someone who claims to be Kami-sama, which means God in Japanese. Kami-sama informs Rintaro that he has just lost his life after being crushed by a steel frame. There is an explanation for this. It turns out that Kami-sama granted Rintaro's wish to save Yumi's life, but in exchange for his own. Kami-sama had been entertaining himself with Rintaro all this time, taking the form of a white cat to observe him and see if he could change the future of his precious Yumi. When Rintaro succeeded, Kami-sama had no choice but to take him away so that he could learn not to disobey spiritual laws. Rintaro apologizes to Kami-sama for this and begs him on his knees to send him back to Earth since he promised Yumi he would have a future by her side no matter what. Kami-sama laughs at Rintaro's request, but being an all-powerful being, he decides to take pity on him this time. Kami-sama grants Rintaro's wish on the condition that he forgets Yumi forever. While in the hospital, Rintaro opens his eyes and upon seeing Yumi, asks who she is. Yumi is not surprised that Rintaro does not recognize her, as she was in the spiritual plane with him and was able to speak directly with Kami-sama. Kami-sama explained to Yumi that she must make Rintaro remember her within a maximum of 20 days, or else he will forget her forever. Yumi follows Kami-sama's instructions and tries her best to make Rintaro remember her, with the help of Itsuki and Minori. However, unfortunately for Yumi, Rintaro is distant from her, feeling uncomfortable with the way she treats him. This obviously saddens Yumi, so she takes some time to cry alone for having lost Rintaro. Days later, Yumi accompanies Rintaro to his house. Once there, she tries to help him remember their past moments together by showing him a photo album from when they were kids. However, Rintaro does not recognize himself in the pictures, believing that the person next to Yumi is not him. Yumi asks if he can remember anything from the moments captured in the photos, to which Rintaro responds that he cannot. After this, Yumi tells her friends what happened. Minori comforts Yumi, and afterward, Yumi feels capable of trying another method to restore Rintaro's memory. She invites him to the park at night, where they watch the moon together. Yumi tells Rintaro that no matter what happens, she will always be by his side, assuring him that she wants to see the moon with him forever. Upon hearing these words, Rintaro manages to recall a fragment of his life with Yumi and tells her so. Yumi gets so excited that she moves too close to Rintaro. Unfortunately, this ends up scaring him as he still does not fully remember her and feels uncomfortable with how close she gets. The next day, Yumi continues her efforts to help Rintaro recover his memory. First, she plays hopscotch with him, as it is something they used to do together as a couple. After this, Yumi tells Rintaro that she will keep trying everything possible to help him regain his memory, showing great determination in achieving this. Curiously, Rintaro gets annoyed with Yumi for trying so hard to make him remember, so he asks her if it is really necessary for him to regain his memory. Rintaro asks Yumi why she is trying so hard to help him regain his memory. In addition, he asks if she will continue to stay by his side even if he never remembers. Faced with these questions, Yumi is left deep in thought, unsure of what to say. Later, Rintaro feels guilty for asking Yumi such things, and Minori comforts him, saying that it's only a matter of time before Yumi speaks to him again. Meanwhile, Yumi receives advice from Itsuki, but she tells him that she doesn't need anyone's help. Yumi thanks Itsuki for his support, but makes it clear that she can handle her problems on her own. In the following days, Yumi makes no effort to talk to Rintaro, meaning she makes no progress in her plan to help him recover his memory. When the 20th day arrives, Yumi informs her friends that today is the last day she can do something to help Rintaro remember. She thanks Minori and Itsuki for their support, but tells them that she no longer plans to do anything to help Rintaro recover his memory, as she believes there is nothing more she can do. Upon hearing this, Itsuki advises Yumi not to give up as there is still time. Minori also encourages her, telling her to fight for her love, reminding her that more than anyone, she knows how much she and Rintaro love each other. Moved by her friend's heartfelt words, Yumi cannot hold back her tears, so she hugs them and thanks them for motivating her. After this, Itsuki gives Yumi one last idea to help Rintaro regain his memory. Yumi listens to Itsuki's idea and then decides to invite Rintaro to watch the sunset. On the way to the top of the hill, Yumi trips and injures her foot. As a result, she believes it would be best to give up on her plan, so she decides to reveal the truth to Rintaro. She tells him that she wanted to try one last time to help him recover his memory, but she now thinks it's no longer necessary because she realizes she has been selfish with herself. Rintaro can tell that Yumi is lying, so he asks if she is truly ready to give up on her plan. Yumi replies that she isn't sure, as what she wants most is for him to regain his memory without being forced into it. Even so, Yumi makes one last attempt and tells Rintaro that she simply wants to watch the sunset with him, regardless of whether or not he remembers. Seeing the sadness in Yumi's eyes, Rintaro takes pity on her and decides to carry her to the top of the hill. Once there, unfortunately, the weather does not cooperate, as instead of a beautiful sunset, it begins to snow. Yumi starts playing with the snowflakes, and upon watching her, Rintaro suddenly begins to remember everything they have lived through together. Thanks to the snow, Rintaro is able to recall his entire life with Yumi. He approaches her to thank her for all the effort she put in to help him recover his memory. Yumi bursts into tears, and overwhelmed by the moment, she confesses to Rintaro that she loves him with all her heart. Rintaro tells her that he feels the same way, without hesitation pulling her into his arms. From the heavens, Kami-sama watches them and cannot hide his frustration, as he truly wanted Rintaro and Yumi to fail. Nevertheless, Kami-sama plans to continue playing with the lives of others, and this is when Hikari appears, requesting to be returned to Earth, as she needs to settle matters with Itsuki. Back with Rintaro and Yumi, the two promise to be together until death separates them. Yumi tells Rintaro that they will remain together even after death. Rintaro smiles and takes Yumi's hand, thus bringing this beautiful Japanese drama to an end.